You need to be patient in terms of sales too, because if you push, that's not good. You'll end up getting the wrong types of clients who come into your business, as opposed to the people when you sit back and you let them come to you. Welcome to the Master Your Business podcast, where we bring you the best in branding, marketing, and customer experience strategies. I'm Deirdre Martin, your host. And if you've been asking yourself how to level up your growing business, your marketing, your customer experience, or how to make more of an impact with your brand, this show is for you. You'll discover actionable tips and insights to help businesses just like yours gain clarity and illuminate the path to success. Train with industry experts, learn sales and marketing strategies, business and mindset hacks, and be inspired by authentic entrepreneurship stories. As your host, I'll share the no-nonsense advice that accelerated my journey from boring bank manager to industry thought leader in marketing and customer experience. Learn how I made the leap into the world of six-figure success, digital courses, keynote speaking, and co-authoring a #1 bestseller in just 1 year. Together with interviews from industry experts, this show ensures you're seen, heard, and hired by your ideal clients. Join our growing community of subscribers and let the Master Your Business podcast empower you to tackle your most significant challenges on your path to business success. Don't miss out. It's your turn to learn from the best and master your dream business. It's really interesting that this topic has been coming up quite a lot in Million Eyes and Business Accelerator and my communities, is that patience is definitely a virtue and that slowing down can actually speed up your success. So in this episode, I'm talking to you about patience. Yes, be patient. I know as an entrepreneur, you're a visionary. You want to go 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you know what? That's actually just not possible in business, because when you do, what happens? You end up burning out, and that's no good for anybody. It's important to manage multiple things when it comes to patience: your energy, your productivity, and mostly your expectations. Because what happens is, if it's a case that you think, you know what, I'm on the success express. No, my friend, I'm sorry. Life and business just doesn't work that way. And what can happen is, and does happen day in, day out, is that you post shit on social media and then you get this instant gratification because people like it, people engage with you. And you know what? Maybe you get some leads from the content that you've created. Fan-frickin-tastic. But unfortunately, that's instant gratification. The worst offender of all time, of our time certainly, is Amazon. With one click, Prime, have it delivered to you in an hour or two. Amazing service, right? But we can't all be Amazon. You can't be Amazon in your business. And if it's a case that it requires client interaction, clients to provide things to you, it just doesn't happen. And so, unfortunately, one of the things that's happened is we live in that world of instant everything. We can binge watch entire series on Netflix. We can look at even Prime again, Amazon Prime. You can binge series on Amazon Prime, on Apple TV, on Disney, on Now, on Sky, you name it. When it comes to business, as entrepreneurs, we want to be at that stage where we're the next Amazon Prime, but it just doesn't happen. And there's a famous Tony Robbins quote that's come up 3 times in conversation for me in this past week in LinkedIn Revenue Accelerator and Business Accelerator and in Million Eyes, like seriously in all of my communities. And that is that we overestimate what we can achieve in the short term, but we underestimate what we can achieve in the long term. So this episode is a reminder for you to just slow down and not to express success. What's really interesting, I've been reading a book called 10x is Easier Than 2x, and it's by a fantastic author called Dan Sullivan. He's co-authored the book with a guy called Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and the two guys have published a couple of books together. There's another one called The Gap and The Gain. And the idea behind the books are that sometimes when we're looking at what we want to achieve, we can absolutely aim for 10x. And the theory behind this is that When we are setting goals, very often we set goals that, maybe you want to hit £1 million in your business. Fantastic if you do. Why not 10 million? And it's making you think bigger. And that's really the principle behind 10x is easier than 2x. But it's making you think bigger, not in the short term, in the long term. There's no pressure on you to make that 10 million. It's just if you think bigger in terms of the end goal and where you want to get to, that allows you to create systems. It allows you to put the infrastructure in place in terms of your team. It allows you to think in terms of products and long-term success as opposed to thinking about in the short term and in the here and now. Because if you're always focused in the here and now, what ends up happening is it's cash, 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 sale, sale, sale. But you're not thinking about the long term. And Ian Golding, who recently appeared on the show, Ian spoke as well about find, win and keep customers. And it's in that keeping customers is where there's a lot of value. But that's a long-term strategy, not a short-term strategy. And what I've found as an entrepreneur is, and you know what, even in my corporate life, when I had performance reviews at the end of the year and I got 4 out of 5 or whatever, I was really pissed off. Why the fuck didn't they give me that final one? I worked my ass off. I worked all of the hours. I got the sales. I did the things. They're just too fucking mean to give it to me. That was how it felt. But the reality is, what I focused on was the gap that I didn't close as opposed to all of the gains that I did make. And the gap in the gain has really made me look at this from a different perspective. And so I'm excited to share it with you, is that if you set your goal of 10 million, what I want you to look at is, where were you 2 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago? And where are you today? And look at all of the progress that you've made, because that progress is incremental and it's compounded, and that's helping you get to your 10 million goal. You mightn't hit 10 million this year or next year. That's absolutely okay. What's more important is to look at the progress that you've made, the things that you've learned, the people who you've brought with you, and the impact that you've had to date. What's not so important is that little bit that you haven't achieved. And when we look at the little bit we haven't achieved, what happens? Our inner critic goes fucking nuts. You know, the shit that you start saying to yourself, nobody else would say to you. Why would you say that to yourself? I'm not good enough. I wasn't able to achieve it. You know, I can't do this. What else comes up for you when you don't achieve that thing? That's just your inner critic going nuts. When the reality is, you've made unbelievable strides in terms of progress in your life, probably as well as your business. So give yourself a break and be patient. Get off the success express. Slow down can help you speed up. Why patience is incredibly valuable and can be a superpower to you in your business as a solopreneur or small business owner is because it actually allows you to be more strategic. It allows you to take a step back and think and plan. And I know what it's like. You're busy, you're doing all of the things. You're the HR manager, you're the salesperson, you're the marketing person, you're the finance person, you're the tech person, you're all of the people. I know how many hats you're wearing in your business. And I know how hard it is to step back, especially because your business is your baby and you freaking love it and you treat it like a baby. But sometimes you have to hand the baby over. You have to let the baby go. You need a bit of a break from the baby so you can get a good night's sleep, and it's no different in your business. Step back, plan a CEO day, right? Or a strategic day. This is something that I do every month. I have it planned for all of next year already in my business. I have one day blocked off every month, and it's a strategic planning day. I'm not going to stay at home in my home office. I'm going to get out. I'm going to go somewhere, even if I go to the frickin' spa for a day. But the idea is I'll think about business things, but I won't necessarily be in a business environment. And the reason I'll do that is because when I move away from my business, it allows me to see the wood from the trees. One of my favorite analogies around this is I learned this from a guy years ago in a training, and he really had quite a profound impact on me and business and how I do business. But this analogy was, it's like the disco and the DJ, right? If you're on the dance floor, you can't see anything else other than people's faces and heads on the dance floor. But if you're in the DJ booth, or if you're up on the, up on the balcony, you can see everybody in the balcony. It's a way better analogy than the wood from the trees, right? And believe me, I've spent lots of time on the dance floor over the years. But anyway, the idea is with patience, it allows you to put more stronger foundations in place. And it helps make sure that you avoid rushing into putting processes in place or systems in place, because long term they may not serve you. Whereas it's way more valuable to maybe do some research first, to plan what good looks like or will look like in the future, and take the time to think, okay, if I was a $10 million, euro, whatever, pound CEO, what would I do then? And ask that question, align it to your values as well. And in a previous episode, go back, I'll share in the show notes. In a previous episode, I've talked about values, how to figure out what they are, why you should apply them in your business, and how. So you can use your values filter to help you decide what you're going to do going forward and to put those solid foundations in place. And even that's an exercise that comes back to patience, because it's not something you can decide overnight. Success just doesn't freaking happen overnight. And those people who become successful overnight have been working in the background for 10 years, slogging it or thereabouts. So there's no such thing as overnight success. Let me just say that right here, right now. But one of the other things is cultivating meaningful relationships can take patience as well, because relationships are built on trust. And familiarity is one of the things that builds trust. And how people get familiar with you is by getting to know you. How do they get to know you? Interactions. And the more interactions that you have, and the more they get to witness your personality and experience how they feel after they've been around you, the more that relationship will build and become solid. So how does that happen? Over time, with patience. It doesn't happen overnight again. So even those long-term relationships will take time. Even getting people to want to work with you in the first instance, a lot of people, it might seem like they make a snap decision to work with you. They might come on a phone call or on a Zoom call with you and be like, yes, let's do this. But actually, they've probably been lurking in the background. They may have seen 48 different bits of content that you've created or shared. And maybe they spoke to you before, but they weren't ready then. You need to be patient in terms of sales too, because if you push, that's not good. You'll end up getting the wrong types of clients who come into your business, as opposed to the people when you sit back and you let them come to you. And what I mean by that is, it's not that you never ask for the sale, and there's an appropriate time to ask for the sale, but there's kind of a fine balance, if you like. It can take as many as literally 48 touch points. And by touch points, I mean people interacting with your content. So if they do get to binge you, if they get to binge your content, like you might binge a Netflix series over the weekend, happy freaking days, because that will mean when they come on the call with you, they're way more likely to want to do business with you, and you don't need to push. You can be patient and listen to what they say that they want and need, and then serve that up to them when the time is right. And literally ask them, so what do you think? Are you in or are you out? And you give them an opportunity to accept or reject you, as opposed to buy from me, because that's just ick. Who wants that, right? No good. So other things that are important in terms of patience is to just maybe reframe for yourself that slow progress is an opportunity for learning and growth. And that on your journey to growing, you are going to fuck things up. You're going to spend money on shit that's just a fucking waste, right? And you're going to regret it. But at the end of the day, you're going to learn from that. And it's all of the things that you fuck up that actually help you achieve success in the long term. But you need to be kind to yourself when you fuck shit up, right? And you need to give yourself a break when that happens and not go back to that inner critic and the gap that you haven't achieved. It's more about focusing on the things and the progress that you have made. And like Einstein, he fucked shit up, I don't know how many times, 10,000 times before he finally figured out how electricity worked. And that could be the very same for you in your business. It's okay to make mistakes, but be patient with yourself and the process while you're making them, and just trust the process. Trust the process. That's so freaking hard to do. Believe me, I know. But it's part of the journey. And so give yourself a break. Be patient with that. When you're setting timelines in terms of what you're going to achieve in your business, think too as well, like what I said earlier about Tony Robbins, we overestimate what we can achieve in the short term and underestimate what we can achieve in the long term. So what I mean by this is smart goals are not so freaking smart. And that timeliness on smart goals, sometimes you have a deadline, right? That's fine. You might have a deadline for something. Maybe you're tendering a job and you're putting together a proposal or a package that needs to be sent into a company because you really want this business. Don't rush it. It's okay to leave it till close to the end to get it in if you're making sure that it's good. But don't procrastinate either. Oh, this is like such a catch-22, isn't it? I'm feeling like do this, but don't do that, even as I say it. But I want you to be mindful that it's okay to not rush, because if you rush, that can lead to mistakes and it can lead to you regretting something that you've done. Take your time and set realistic expectations around what that time is. But like I say, if you're going 10x, it doesn't have to happen overnight. It doesn't have to happen this year. It doesn't have to happen next year. It could be that that's 10 years out, but you don't need to put a timeline on that. It's just something that you need to work towards. It's different if the closing date for that tender is the end of the month. Then that's where you need to be more mindful in terms of timelines, right? So be patient with yourself. When you're setting your goals, break down what those large goals are and what are the action steps that you need to take that will result in progress towards achieving those goals. So again, if your goal is 10 million, woohoo, happy days. What do you need to do today to start moving you towards that 10 million? And that can be, it's not just necessarily looking at needle moving activities. It could be looking at your systems and your processes. But those systems and processes, by getting them in place, can save you time and money long term, which again is money that you could invest to help you get closer to your 10 million goal. So be strategic. Taking that time out to plan it is what will help you get there. Most importantly is to just stop every once in a while and celebrate the small wins. So this is something I do in my community. Every Friday I send a message. I'm like, tell me your wins. What was good this week? What are we celebrating? And it doesn't matter if you're like, Deirdre, I basically just got through the week. I'm like, yeah, you're still here. And sometimes that's all it is. And other times, like, people are telling me they're closing amazing deals, and that's so fantastic, but it's not always about the money. Other people are telling me I took time off for my kids, they're on midterm break or whatever it might be. And that's something that maybe they could never do before. That's great progress for them because maybe they would never switch off before. Maybe they never gave themselves that break before. That's a win. Doing something new, anything where you've made progress is a win. Any bit of progress is a win. And that's what I want you to do that. When was the last time you took stock of any of the progress you'd made? Do it right now. Write it down. Acknowledge it. You need to have something that acknowledges the milestones. Something that when you look back, you're like, fuck yeah, I remember when I made my first 100K in a year. Fuck yeah, I remember when I made my first 100K in a month. What? Right? That's so cool. How did you acknowledge that? How did you acknowledge the progress you made yourself? What did you do to celebrate that milestone? If you won an award before, you're going to be like, yay, I won my award. But the progress that you've made in your business, even the stuff that nobody externally knows about, that should feel like winning an award. You should be like giving yourself the equivalent of that award so you remember that feeling and you bottle it up. Because when shit hits the fan, or when you're looking at that little gap where you're like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going as fast as I wanted to, those little wins are like, oh yeah, but I remember when I did this. And it helps you. It helps keep you motivated and inspired to keep going. Oh, I think what's really important with patience as well is to look at who are you surrounding yourself with. Who are the people who are supporting you? Who are the people who are encouraging you and inspiring you and motivating you to keep going? And are they telling you should be further along than you are? Are they supporting you with tools or resources or even just some positive feedback to keep you going? Who are you surrounding yourself with? If those people are pushing and pushing and pushing, but pushing too hard or too fast or expecting too much, maybe they're not the right people. But if you've got people who are not pushing at all, they're definitely not the right people. So in terms of patience, when it comes to this, sometimes you need to be patient with the people who are around you. You need to demonstrate that patience yourself, but also others need to be patient with you. So it's a blend of both. Long term, what I want you to think about in terms of patience is it has a bigger influence and impact on your business that you might realize. And to build a business that lasts absolutely requires patience, because you are definitely going to fail, and that's okay. You are definitely not going to be as far along as you like, and that's okay. You're definitely going to compare your chapter 3 with somebody else's chapter 20 and think you're doing shit, but you're not, and that's okay. And you're definitely going to want to achieve those goals way quicker than you possibly can. And, kudos to you, because you've got big, hairy, audacious goals, and that's exciting. But give yourself a break, because you need to be patient. You need to be patient in every aspect relating to that. So I hope after listening to this episode, you will take some time, plan a strategy day. Take a leaf out of my book, plan a strategy day for every month for the coming 12 months, and take stock and celebrate your wins on each of those strategy days. What progress have you made in the past month? Or even do it every Friday like I do in my community. What progress have you made this week? And just celebrate that and acknowledge it, and look at the progress you've made over the last few years. Like, where were you 5 years ago compared to today? And I'll bet, I would put money on this, that you're way further along than you ever imagined you'd be. So, if you enjoyed listening to today's show, please do me a solid. Go and leave a rating if wherever you listen to or streaming to the episode today. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. We love to see the feedback coming through, and it helps the show get found and seen by other ambitious entrepreneurs just like you. Make sure to subscribe, and until next week, keep mastering your business.